Welcome back, guys. Got some work done over the weekend. I got all of my lighting in. It's in place. It's done. Finito. I got all the lighting strips in here. Oh, I do have to remember to go back and do that. That is a little error there. I have to hot glue. I didn't hot glue that, but I gotta hot glue that. Otherwise, you can see it through the window, and that does get in the way. You can see that. I can kind of see that little wire there. Anyways, I have to hot glue that. I did fit everything together. The arboretum in here, and just to make sure that there was enough light going in the arboretum. There's not a ton of light going into the arboretum, but there's enough so you can see it, and that's really what I wanted. And I'm still trying to decide whether or not I want to put windows in here, just because of the clearance. There's not much room in between the edges of the photo etch and the actual. Which way does this go? It goes this way. The photo etch, and the photo etch almost ends on the edge of the windows. So if I do put something in there, it would have to be right up to the windows, or right up to the surrounds of the windows. So what else did I do? I cleaned up the edging to get it ready for glue, both sides. I cleaned up the inside of the pylon holes. I got all the paint out of there to get that ready to go. I did test fit the pylons. So bring a pylon over here, and this is this one. The two vents go on the outside, and I don't know if you can hear this, but see the wiggle room I have. Lots of wiggle room. So I will be using the two-part epoxy that I'm going to use on the neck on the secondary hull here, because it's kind of a gelatin based, and I can get a ton of that in there and really get these pylons on, because they are such a sticking point, especially with the extra weight I have with the electronics inside. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but there you can tell that there is some weight to them now, and the paint. Everything adds weight, and that's going to be a problem with my primary hull, because that's a lot of electronics in there, a lot of LEDs, a lot of wire. That's again why I'm using a two-part epoxy on that. I do have the jigs that come with the photo etch, which will be awesome when I go to install these. So here is my lighting setup. I have a 3-strip near the edge here to light down into my arboretum. I have another 3-strip just to light windows. I have a 6-strip to light windows, and I have another 3-strip down here to light windows. Also, I have a 3-strip back here to help light up my shuttle bay. So that's the lighting. Oh, and I have two nano chip. Nano? I think they're nano SMDs, and they light up the pylon very well. They light up along the it's the wrong side. Are you putting it in the wrong side? Those two holes there, those two lights light up the edge of this pylon very well. I'll show that off in a minute. But right now, I'm thinking and dealing with windows. I am going to put windows in. I tried to hot glue it, but it just looked, I put it in there as best I could, but it still looked wonky and wavy, and I couldn't get it to work, so I pulled it back out. I think it was in that window right there. Yeah, it was in this window right here. So I've been testing different materials, and I bought this material. This is for stencil work. And it's this kind of white, plasticky. It has a film on one side, but it's very, well, it's not super opaque. I mean, you can see the shadow of my finger, but it's more difficult to see my finger. And I can't show this off. Yeah, you can kind of see it, but that's the shadow. So I test fitted in a few windows. Like, where is it? There's a window that a wire went in front of. Oh, yeah. This wire, which I'll adjust this so it doesn't do this and go in front of the window, but it did go in front of a window. So I put some of that over on this side, and I couldn't, it was right up against the window, and I couldn't see the wire through there, which is going to be helpful because there is not just this stuff, but there's going to be a whole mess of wires that I'll have to. I'm bringing them out the deflector dish. All my wires are going to be coming out the deflector dish. I'm going to wrangle the wires, and I'm going to solder those together, and then I'm gonna actually pull one down through underneath the arboretum. I'm actually going to have one coming through here already, so I don't have to do that. And it's just going to come out the front. Everything's going to come out the front, but there's going to be. I'm going to cut it down to be as close as I can. But I'm still going to have to pack a little bit of wire back into this section of the hull, and it will definitely be in front of some of these windows. So I want something that's there, that's opaque but not so opaque you can't see light through it. And this stuff seems to work for very well. Excuse me. Pizza does it to me every time. So that is what I'm going to use. I'm going to cut this stuff up. I'm going to cut it into little sections, and I'm going to super glue them all over the place in here. This is going to be the bear. I didn't take that out. That little injector piece, I didn't take that out. I should have. I really should have. And there's another one I should have taken out, and I already started doing that, and that's this right back here. Because I'm doing test fitting on my shuttle bay here, which I still have to light block that. And I still have to actually add some glue to it. So I've been doing some test fitting on this, and wow, it does not fit at all. Everything is fitting up to where it should on the photo etch. Like these line up. This edge lines up with these. This edge lines up with this. You see those edges? They line up in the back there. This little tab is right where it should be, but doing some test fitting on here and putting this in here. Let's see if I can show this off. Now let's see if I can do this. This is the little support structure that goes behind it. I don't think I can do that, but let's see here. This should go back like this. It should approximately go right there. So I don't know if it's just me not fitting it in here. I'll actually put this thing together in a bit and see what it is. But there seems to be a gap up here, and on the side, I don't think I care as much because I have these little things, little edging that goes on the side. And here's another thing, I don't know how this is supposed to go because it doesn't seem to fit. I'll have to reread the instructions, but it doesn't fit very well in there. So I'll have to, again, reread the instructions. And I hollowed this out just like the instructions said. I removed all the material. It said to remove all the material and some of the fantail. So I removed everything along this edge here, and then I moved some of the fantail. I left some there because I didn't know how far out this came. And because I wanted something for it to kind of glue on to. So I will have to study those instructions. But I think that's about it on an update of what I've been doing. I will get back to work, and I'll see you in a minute. Alright, let's see if I can do this now. And show it off. Maybe you can see this? There, yeah, you can see it. You can see how that's light's going up the leading edge there. And on the inside, well, it's bright now, but let's see if we can do that. Yeah, you can see that light. And that light's going up the leading edge too, on either side. Nice or the pylon. That's gonna look really cool. Alright, enough plan. Back to work. Well guys, everything is temped together. Taped, temped. I have the arboretum in there. I have the shuttle bay in there. All the wires are coming out the end right now. But let's see if I can do this. You can see all those lights. Actually, let's turn some lights off. Alright, maybe we'll see it better. There we go. See, none of the windows are filled, but all the lights are working. You can see the lights coming down. You can see the light from above coming down to my arboretum. You can even see those monitors in there. It's not exactly where it's going to be, but it is in there. Now the problem. Let's see if I can light this up and illustrate the problem. That looks pretty cool, the shuttle bay, but you see that huge gap? I have no clue why there's a huge gap. The instructions say to take all that material out, all of this material around it, and I folded it properly, all the tabs fit properly, so I have no clue why there is that giant gap. Some of it's going to be filled by those two little side pieces, but the gap between the top of the shuttle bay and this thing right here, I'm going to fill that. Well, that's going to be fun. Yeah. You can see, it's a little difficult to see right now. I mean, there's tons of glare from the gap, but you can see into the shuttle bay. You can actually see those, there's light leak. Oh, there's light leak going on in there. Uh-oh. Everything's falling apart. There's light leak, but you can see, yeah, you can see those windows clearly and back there lit up on either side. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm going to take this thing apart and start thinking about that shuttle bay and what I'm going to do about that. So I'll be back with more. So I've switched gears a little here. While I think about the hull, and I decided to just try this out a little bit here. Weird. I just put one of the decals on, and I spent, oh god, a good 30-35 minutes going through with my toothpick and fixing or trying to get all the air out of all these stupid little panels, and that didn't work. I put 2 coats of microcell on it, and it's really shiny right now because of, I don't have any clear, but it's still, I don't know if that's the shine or if it's silvered or what's going on, but in normal light, I mean, if you put this up to a really harsh shiny light, you can see the silvering on the bottom. But other than that, in normal light, without the shine on it, you really can't see the silvering. So I think, because it does look really cool with all that detail. I know it looks really nice. I think I'm just gonna say, whatever. It is what it is. It's my mistake for not getting rid of all these little panels. It's not, because if this had a smooth surface to go onto, it'd be just fine. It's because of these panels, and of course, after I paint it and put the decals on the bottom, I learned about something. I learned that someone, I forget who online, that talked about it. How to get rid of the panels easily using paint. So you just coat it heavily with primer, with filler primer, and then just sand it smooth, which seems really obvious, doesn't that? Yeah, it does. It just seems obvious. Ugh. But of course, I didn't do that. So, and I'm not painting all this stuff. So I think if there is silvering, I'm just gonna live with it, and I'm gonna decal the rest of this. Well, I got all the Aztecs on the top here. The inner ring started out with that, and then did the outer ring. The inner ring was a singular piece, but as the instructions said, I did cut it into many pieces, and it turned out really well. And then I went around and did these. I think it turned out pretty good. It's shiny. You can see it's shiny because I haven't clear coated it yet, but you can see the Aztecs in there. And on camera they look really subtle, nice and subtle. Not so much in real life. They're a little bit more noticeable in real life. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clear coat them. I did go over these with microsol. I did a couple coats of microsol on them last night. Let it dry up. So now I'm going to clear it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to dust coat it. I'm going to spray above it and kind of let it settle on there. You're going to see how that does instead of directly spraying it at the decals. I'm going to get to work with that. Well, the hull is naked again. And on the bottom. Okay. I added about 10 dusting coats over the entire hull. And it looked like it was working pretty good. And then I let it sit for about 10, 12 hours. And it just started to peel up a little bit. And it started to peel up a little bit. And then this cracked and peeled, so I just kind of... I tried to cut the stuff that had peeled up. Just cut it off, you know. I'll just cut off these little parts and it'll be fine. But I didn't. As I tried to cut it, the whole decal lifted off. These things were like not even on here. They peeled off like stickers from the 1980s. Just seriously, I just put my X-Acto like this and it just would peel and I could pull the whole thing off. And sometimes peeling it, I just took the entire section, so they weren't on there. So I'm kind of going through right now, and where did I lost it. There it is. I'm kind of going through right now, and okay, so I'm wet sanding because doing that dust coat left a very rough surface, and you can actually, there it is. You can kind of see it in the crystal there. So I'm just going through and wet sanding that down. It's not really on here. It's mainly around the BC deck and that thing. And it just looks crappy. Looks horrible. So I'm trying to get it out of here. I think I got most of the BC deck. Got a few things to touch up. But, yeah, so not using those decals. The bottom is fine. I don't know. The bottom turned out fine. And the decals left some residue, which I could probably take off with alcohol. But it gives the hull this kind of sheen. Well, that's kind of what it should have for the Aztecs. So I think we're just going to leave it. It's really hard to see. But there is... And the cool thing is it's not on every panel, it's just on some of the panels. So it looks kind of cool. There's a dark spot there I gotta take care of. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm going through and just wet sanding. Trying to get off all this grit and grime. What I've done on here is I have all my windows in place. So all my windows are in place, except for these, of course. But yeah, I just kind of used a couple of techniques. For some windows, like these here, I just used glue. And for other ones, I just cut up those panels and put them in there, and it looks pretty nice. It's difficult to see, but... And this one, I just mainly used glue. Just to see what it would do. Except for the big windows, I used plastic, but I used super glue, and then I white painted over it. It actually looks pretty identical to this, and this I mainly used those white pieces of plastic. I'm getting ready to install my my arboretum, and I'm thinking about if I should put glass in here or not. I'm thinking maybe I could put glass along the edge here, just along this edge here. Or I could just leave it open. I mean, it doesn't really matter. And with all the kind of trouble I have with the glass back here, I'm thinking maybe I'm just going to leave them open. And if I really want to later on, I could cut out little pieces of plastic and canopy glue them in there. I don't know. I'll think about that some more while I get back to wet sanding this. Yeah, it's just a gritty surface because of the way I did the clear. I'm going to use the rest. I'm not going to use the Aztecs, but I'm going to use the other decals that I bought. I bought the extended kit set, which this is a kit set decal right here, and it seems to be outside of me, accidentally taping over, or not accidentally, taping over it and ripping it up. It's actually held together very well. I didn't get any peeling. Even I've been wet sanding a little bit, touches here and there on it, trying to be careful, and it's stayed intact. So I'm gonna get back to wet sanding, and then I'm gonna start on the installation, and I'm gonna install it on this side. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna glue down my little base here. Actually, I'm gonna put a wire through here first, just so I don't forget. Just a little bit of wire for the moment. And then I'm going to glue down my base. I'm going to super glue it. And when I super glue it, I'm going to put it to the other side and attach the other side. I'm just going to super glue it to the one side. And I'm going to attach this in here just so that I'm sure that this will be level with the other side of the hull here. I'm going to wait for that to dry, super glue wise, and I'm going to reinforce it with some hot glue behind here and on the side here. And then I'm going to install the photo etch on top of that. And then when I install that again, I'm going to line it up here so that I'm sure it's exactly in the right spot. I'll put a bunch of super glue on here so that I can kind of, I got the gel super glue, so I can maneuver it around. So that's going to be a thing. I'm going to get back to work on my wet sanding, and I'll see you guys after I get that installed. Well, I got the arboretum installed. See through the windows. Let's see if we can see through those. Kind of. Sorta. See through there. But yeah, it's let's see here. I was test fitting the shuttle bay here, but there we go. That's all in there. And I super glued the base like I said I was gonna do. And I went back with hot glue and really tacked in the base. And then I glued this on top and then went back in with hot glue and really tacked that in. So that is in there. That's not going anywhere. And again, I'm test fitting my shuttle bay. And the instructions here, you can see, I want you to install this. This is the brace for the shuttle bay right here. That's what this is. Now they want you to install this like this and install the shuttle bay in there. And just like that, and install the shuttle bay. I don't know if you can see that, but that makes the shuttle bay go up at an angle. You can see it's kind of aligned to this, when in fact it should be aligned to the fantail. The fantail goes like this, and it should be level with that, because if you look inside there, if you look straight on, your shuttle bay is now going up like this as opposed to being flat. So actually what I'm going to do is install it like this. Or actually even back a little bit more. Back about right there, like that. And then your shuttle bay sits level. I'm not sure why he has you setting it level with this line, which is at an angle, instead of the fantail, which is flat. So yeah, I'm gonna be installing that like that. I did put windows in. You can tell I did put windows in. Just glued some clear transparency in there. And that's where I'm at with this right now. I'm going to get back to work on the shuttle bay and get that nice and level and placed in there. I'll do that and be right back. Okay guys, I got the shuttle bay installed. Again, I installed it on the port side here. And this is just temped up right now. Everything's kind of fitting together. You can see that there's that gap there. That's not a problem at all. The gap that I'm kind of worried about more is the gap back here in the shuttle bay. And I just noticed that the shuttle bay is very sideways. Not quite sure how that happened. Huh. Shoot. Yeah, it's definitely sideways. I might have to take that out of there. You can see the lines there on the can you see the lines there? Yeah, they're kind of sideways. You look at this straight on and the lines are sideways. And I can see in there now that it's sideways. Dang. Huh. Yeah. I can't believe that somehow that got sideways. That's going to really stink because there's a lot of hot glue holding that in. Anyways, I did test fit the let's see here, the shuttle bay door here, if I can get that to set in there correctly. That's just going to set in there. I noticed that it was off a little bit, but I didn't notice it was off that much. Because you can clearly see the photo etch right there. It kind of comes over this line here, and it doesn't over here. But I didn't notice that. Dang. That's a lot. I thought I had it in there. Because the fantail, if you look at it, as far as the edge goes, that's fairly even. But I guess it would be. It just depends on... Huh. Well, poo. Okay. And we'll fix that. But I think I figured out a way that I'm going to assemble this. Or the way I'm going to assemble this. And that's fixing a shuttle there. It's depressing. Anyways. I will be putting the two halves together. God, that's a lot of hot glue to remove. I hate it when I do stuff like this. Like, hey, that's cool, it's in there, and then, no, it's not. I don't even know how I'm gonna, anyways. Well, I'm gonna assemble these two pieces, and then I'm gonna throw the neck on here. I'm just gonna put the neck on here. I was gonna put the nacelles on, and the pylons here. I was going to do it kind of all at once, but even fixing this, there's still so much of a gap back here that I have to fix, and I have to do it a very specific way in order to get this shuttle bay to be able to sit back here properly. Actually, the shuttle bay should go in a little bit more, but I don't know how that's all going to fit because I still have these things to these little photo etch to fit on either side of here. So it's going to kind of have to, normally it should be way in there, but it's going to kind of have to set here at the edge. I was going to have to sand some of that down. It's not even. But anyway, so it'll just set back here. Something like that. It should set in a lot further than that. In fact, it should set in right about like, here, let's see if I can get it in there. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. That should kind of sit in there like that. And it's still not right. There should be more of a fantail. Anyways, I'm going to assemble the two halves and the neck. And not the pylons. But what I am going to do is, where's my wire? I test fitted the nacelles and the pylons. The nacelles are finished and they're drying and clear right now. I noticed I didn't have enough wire. My wire from the nacelles, once it made it through the pylon, comes up to about here. So I have to add an extension anyways. So I figure, well, I'll just hot glue in an extension and not have to worry about doing the nacelles or the pylons at this moment, which means I have tons of, I don't have to worry about them flopping around or getting cracked or getting broken or falling off or doing whatever while I fill this section back here, while I fill this seam, while I work on the seam down here. It'll just be this, and then it'll be the neck. And the neck, again, doesn't have much work. I still have to work on this up here. I think that'll be easier to do once it's together, because I put those two little extensions on here, and it doesn't quite fit exactly right. So I might epoxy the neck in too. And then after all that's said and done, after I get everything where I need it and want it, I will then epoxy in, because there's tons of room in here. You can see those are pretty big openings. Tons of room. Put my epoxy in there. Set my nacelle pylons in there. This one doesn't quite fit. I have to remove some material. Amazingly enough, there's too much material on this tiny little thing. That boggles my mind. Anyways, yeah, there'll be tons of room for that. And also that means I don't have to mask these off when I have to repaint this. Otherwise I have to mask off the nacelles, the neck, and everything else. So that solves that kind of issue. But yeah, that stupid shuttle bay. Almost more trouble than you're worth. Part of me just wants to glue this into place and say, screw it. Because, and then I don't have to fill the sides in. I can fill those in with these. Not a lot of light is getting in here, which is unfortunate. There's not, you can barely see in there. So, yeah, part of me just wants to close off the shuttle bay. But I'm going to try. I'm going to try to do it the other way. Try to get it in here. Not sure what I did wrong outside of putting it in sideways, because this totally doesn't match with much of anything. I guess I could glue it on the top there. We just kind of pull it up, glue it in there. I wouldn't have to worry so much about that. I'll think about that. I have to sand this anyways. So that's where I'm at. I'm gonna see if I can't get this fixed and see about starting to do the filling. I'll be back with that in a bit. Well, the hole's together and glued, and I got putty on it right now. The shuttle bay still went in sideways somehow. It was easy to pop out, which was thankful. I just literally popped it out. And then I put it back in, and I made sure it was square with this side. And I glued it in, and I put the other side on to make sure it was square. And it somehow went all funny on me again. Okay. So I'm just sitting here waiting for the putty to dry. I just painted my shuttle bay doors, and that's where I'm gonna call it for this week. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Next week we'll be hopefully getting this done, at least the secondary hull. So hope to see you guys then, and take care.